What's up, guys? It's your boy Wings of Redemption, and I'm ready and bringing you some ground war. I don't usually play this shit because my connection sucks dick. That's the way I do it. And today I'm going to talk about nothing about the gameplay. It's all the same way anyway. Kind of depressing. If you're not following anything in this commentary yet, you bear with me because I'm not either. What's happening though is when I go to the GameStop or the Walmart or any venue or venture that sells any kind of reasonable video games, it depresses me. The reason it depresses me is because video games now have become so large and overblown that you don't get a good quantity of video games anymore. And for the most part, you don't get the fun video games anymore. Like, for example, back in the day, I grew up on I had a regular Nintendo. I had the Super Nintendo and all, but for the most part, I remember my Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis days more than anything else. And I remember going to places like Movie Max and places like that, little, video rental stores around here, and looking through the video games. It's like, oh man, that was like one of the coolest things as a kid. And much like the angry video game nerd, my weekend involved around renting a video game and playing it the entire weekend. That's what me and my brother would do. We generally try to go for a 2-player game. So with that being said, we kind of stuck for more like the co-op RPGs or maybe like a wrestling game or something like that. And there was so much variety back then. I mean, like everything that you looked at, or every store that we were in, there was just so much variety. Like you go to the store today, it's like a showcase of advertisement based around what's coming out. Like go to the GameStop now, what do you see? You see 2 to 3 shelves about games that are coming out later this year. Wow. And then you see like the 3 or 4 games that's been out for a while. Like you'll see Black Ops, you'll see Halo Reach, you'll see 2 or 3 shelves from the last year's or last quarter's blockbusters. And then there's that one little baby ass shelf where the actual games come in. That's actually like independent game companies or whatever that's trying to get off on their feet. And those are the games that are kind of off the wall. But those games are usually lame as shit. Like for example. I can't think of one off the head, but none of them seem that appealing. Think about it. The golden era of gaming, in my opinion, was the PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Xbox. That was the golden era of gaming, at least in my opinion. The graphics were somewhat good. The games didn't take too long to put out. And you basically had a lot of independent developers because everybody could do it. A big successful video game wasn't determined by graphics, but by playability. And I think a lot of the video game industry right now is dying because lack of playability. It's going way overblown on graphics. Like one of the big things you hear right now in Modern Warfare 3 is like, the graphics look like Modern Warfare 2. I don't give a fuck. I hope they stay looking like Modern Warfare 2. You know why? Because hopefully they'll work on the game mechanics and playability, which in my opinion is much more important than if my guy looks like somebody in real life. If I want superior graphics, I'll go out into the fucking real world. It doesn't bother me to play on PS2 graphics. Remember Battlefield Modern Combat 2? I'd play that shit today if motherfuckers was on that bitch. I would. Because it was a fun ass game. It was probably the best shooter game to ever come out. Same thing. I know a lot of people with me because a lot of people like Call of Duty too. And that game came out at the very beginning of like these platforms. Like the PS2 was a good system as well, but when I'm talking about lack of games, remember the PlayStation? They had games like One, they had games like Gex, they had games like Spy Hunter, they had like tons and tons of like off the wall RPGs like Blade of Alandar. They had what was that one? Fable, not Fable, but I don't know, Legends of Dragoon. They had wrestling games like Bring the Pain. They have those now in the other games, but they're not as good as the old PS2 ones. At least in my book. It just seems like there's such a lack of variety anymore. Like Super Mario Brothers is Now in 3D, it's more gimmicky than anything. I miss the old Super Mario Brothers, dog. It's like, wow. Like, I miss the old Resident Evils for the most part, dude. You know how cool Resident Evil was on the fucking PS1? That shit was the bomb. Resident Evil 2 was the bomb. And now people claim like Resident Evil 4 is the best. Resident Evil 4 fucking sucks, dude. Resident Evil 4 is a first-person shooter with horror aspects. If I wanted to play that, I'd play fucking Fear. Resident Evil is not about shooting your gun. Resident Evil is about solving puzzles, conserving ammunition, and surviving. It was a survival horror. It actually almost pretty much started the genre of survival horror. So why are we now trying to make it so zombies drop ammo so you can pick up? Nobody wants to do that. It's a pretty cool game mechanic, but why name it Resident Evil? Why not branch another series off? Why ruin a series like that? I don't know. I'm just sitting there bitching at this point, but it's what I do best. I'm a bitcher. That's what I do. That's what I do. And I'm putting the work in with a Scorpion. But these guys are so screwed now because the Blackbird's up. Hopefully the Blackbird doesn't make it into Modern Warfare 3. I'm hoping it doesn't, because this kill streak is way OP like a motherfucker. But that's that. Triple capped. I think the final score of this was like 76 and like 5 or something like that. So I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.